Yeah, so I had a lot of fun with this. Matthew was honestly a really good coach. Both me and Will learned a lot, and we got like a nice crash course, as you can see here, where we're just running through kind of the techniques of kind of going from the primary hand to the secondary hand and back and forth, and learning how to do that like quick swinging. And going through all this was a lot of fun. I managed to get this in before he ended up moving, so this was quite a bit of fun. As you can see with the special tips, these are our practice swords. Now we're actually going into the slicing and the swinging. It's actually pretty satisfying to cut through these bamboo mats. And it's one of those where, like, as he described it, you really have to, like, you can't think about the mat. If you think about it, you'll get stuck. And I had a lot of missed hits. But once you kind of just let the sword pass through it, you don't hesitate, and then it slices very cleanly, as you see from kind of the best cuts that I have here. But it took a little bit of time to get used to that and actually figure out how to do that. But it was really satisfying. And he makes these himself, so he makes them and soaks them in buckets. So we got to go through and cut a lot of these. This one actually right here is where we're learning how to do the upswing, and surprisingly, it's actually a lot easier, for at least for me, to be able to cut through this way. So I really liked learning this technique, but it has a very satisfying little swing as well too. And the one that you saw just a second ago actually kind of hung there for a second, and that had like probably the most satisfying little swing sound of the day when it came to that like sword sound that you're maybe used to hearing in videos. And here's a couple of Will as well, slicing through that. Oh yeah, and here's a fun one too. I also did some slow motion recordings, so you'll see here just in a minute after all of these the slow-mo videos that I got. There we go, yeah. And look at how much that sword like vibrates, right? Like, that's actually pretty cool. I did not realize until I saw the slow-mo video how much these swords actually kind of vibrate depending on how clean the slice is. That one, as you see, traveled a lot cleaner. So the hit really does change a lot of how much the sword will cleanly pass through. I didn't quite sever that one, but still mostly a clean cut. But I just really liked the seeing kind of the physics and the effects that happens on the sword as I cut through a lot of this stuff. So that's kind of what was going on in this one, and there's a nice clean cut as it falls over. But this was the very end of our day where we started practicing one-handed swinging and going through all that. That, as you can see, was not a particularly clean cut, but has a cool effect, certainly in the slow motion camera. Let's see a couple of other of these. Yeah, start knocking off the zip ties and everything. But again, like there's probably like over $100 worth of mats that we cut through, because Matthew, I think, buys these online somewhere, and he basically rolls them up, zip ties them, and soaks them all specifically just for these cutting practices. And we got a mostly cut kind of a denser grade bamboo mat, and by the very end of the day, he had some like high quality ones that I guess are kind of hard to find that we got to cut through that were, like chef's kiss, like really satisfying to cut through at the very end. But there was only about 4 mats, so we kind of reserved them as the special mats for the very end of the day. Most of the ones that you see here are just the regular mats, but overall, it was a lot of fun.